So this is the AVKANS Go, and I call it the near perfect budget live streaming camera. Yes, it's not perfect, but it's kind of close. So let's get into it. What's going on, guys? My name is Sam, you're watching our production tips and tools, and today we have the AVKANS Go, which is a mobile live streaming camera that can also be used in the studio. Now we're gonna get into that. Obviously, I'm gonna give you more details why and how you can use it in the studio, and of course, and how and why you can use it as a mobile live streaming camera. Now it's not perfect. Each use scenario has its pros and cons, and we gotta get into it in a minute. But before, I'm just gonna show you what you get in the box. Basically, when you receive it, it's just this camera. As you can see, you open the box pretty, you get the user guide, camera, and a USB cable. That's pretty much it. Super straightforward. Now the camera itself, as you can see, is very small and it's very lightweight. I mean, not that lightweight. I mean, according to ChatGPT, it's 1.5 pounds, around 680 grams, and this allows you to use it as a webcam in the studio, of course, and if you want to take it out for mobile streaming, it's gonna be possible. Now it's made out of plastic material, and as you can see, you got the power button. Of course, it has a built-in battery, so you can use it as a mobile streaming camera. As I said, even in the studio, if you want to have it plugged in, you could actually use it. However, if you're using in a studio, obviously I recommend 100% to plug it in, especially when you're live streaming. You don't want the camera to die on you if you have that option. You also have a USB Type-C, which you can use to actually use the camera as a webcam, or use it as a way to power the camera through PoE, which means the camera actually does support PoE, or power over Ethernet. So if you want to connect this camera to Ethernet, you can use an adapter, which is not included, but you got that adapter, basically Ethernet to USB Type-C, you're gonna be able to power it and send internet to the camera, or internet connection to the camera, which is awesome. You got also micro HDMI on it, micro HDMI port. You got one audio input for inputting a microphone, and you got one SD card slot. That's pretty much it. On the front, you got the lens and a little tally light on the front as well, and on the bottom really is just a little hole to be able to mount it on a tripod or a stand. Another cool thing, it also comes with this little magnetic kind of like lens cap, which is really awesome. You just attach to it, which is kind of cool. I kind of like it. So now let's talk about how you can use this camera for studio live streaming, and of course I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna connect it to OBS in a moment so you guys can see what it looks like. So to be able to use in a studio, obviously you got USB. Basically, this USB port is gonna allow you to use it as a webcam, which is good. You can connect to your computer and you're gonna be able to see it as a webcam inside OBS or any other streaming software, including conferencing software like Zoom, Teams, or anything that takes a webcam really. Another way of using it, you can use the HDMI port and be able to connect to a video switcher, something like an ATEM Mini, ATEM Mini Pro, YOLO Box, or anything that takes HDMI in case you want to do a multi-camera production. That's possible as well, which is really cool. Now another way of using it, you can use something like NDI or SRT, because it's got NDI built into it, and SRT, again, this is gonna allow you to use your network infrastructure to be able to connect the camera, and that's possible as well. Although maybe most people, I mean, it's gonna be simpler to just connect in, a USB cable to your computer, or just use HDMI. I don't see why you wouldn't want to use NDI in your studio. However, if that's an option, I know some people may need that. Obviously, it's available and it's doable. SRT, same thing. Now with SRT, this is gonna be mostly useful. You can use it on local network. However, compared to NDI that's only local, SRT can actually be used if you want to send a signal to someone else who can receive SRT from anywhere in the world, basically, which is really, really cool. Now, when it comes to mobile live streaming, obviously this is gonna be useful because you got SRT. This is gonna be really, really important because you can actually live stream, send that SRT. They say you're covering something like sports, they say a baseball game, or any other sort of outdoor activity, or just doing some auto streaming outdoors, right? you can send that SRT signal. You're gonna need to have it connected to some sort of internet connection. Either use your phone's Wi-Fi. You can use the AVKANS GO app. I'm gonna show you how it works in a moment, and be able to actually send that signal to someone maybe who's running OBS or any other software that can take SRT at home or in their office and be able to stream that signal. Or you can even go live directly from the camera. By the way, if you have multiple cameras like this one, by the way, you can also connect them using the app and be able to stream using RTMP. So you can use your phone application to be able to stream directly from the phone to YouTube or Facebook or any other platform. So it's got built-in RTMP streaming, which is really cool. As long as you have access to internet connection, you can actually get to stream from anywhere and go directly live to YouTube or any other platform, which is really cool. All right, so now I have the camera connected to my computer, basically just using a USB cable connected directly to my computer. Now, the first thing, we're gonna go ahead and look at the app and what it looks like. Okay, so basically, to get access to the app, you want to go to App Store. Right now it's available on iPhone, but I saw on the AVKANS website that say that they have a beta version as the time that I record this video for Android as well. So you go, just type in AVKANS GO. Even if you scan the documentation that comes with the camera, there's a QR code. You can just scan it and it's gonna take you to the app. And then once you have it, I have mine already downloaded, but it's gonna look like this. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and open it right now. And this is what it's gonna look like. Now, the first time, my camera has been added already, but for the first time, you may wanna hit the plus sign. And then you actually gonna go ahead and choose add a device. And then once you see the device is gonna show up really, and you're gonna have to choose your Wi-Fi and everything, go through your Wi-Fi and go to next and be able to add it. Really, it's just very simple. Actually, it was easy for me to add it. I didn't have any issues. Now, in case you have issues with your network, depending on how you're using it, one thing that I've noticed with these cameras, sometimes if you're using a guest Wi-Fi, the camera may actually act out and not allow you to add it through your Wi-Fi. If you're having issues with Wi-Fi, make sure you switch to the main Wi-Fi. Or in case that doesn't work, you can also use the camera's Wi-Fi instead of using your phone's Wi-Fi. The only thing is, if you use the camera's Wi-Fi, you're probably not gonna be able to do things like, streaming, because when you're streaming, doing wireless streaming, you're relying on your phone's Wi-Fi. So keep that in mind, but in most cases, it should be able to work with no problem with your Wi-Fi. So this is what it looks like. And as you can see, the app is really straightforward and simple to use. So if I go here where it says live, this is where you can enter RTMP key from YouTube if you wanted to live stream directly to YouTube or Facebook and things like that. As you can see, you can live stream in 720p 360. I don't think anyone wants to stream in 360. You can even live stream in 4K. Again, I'll probably suggest you stream in 4K. You have the camera connected wired directly, have good internet connection. You can change the bit rate, as you can see, from 2 megabits per second to 4, 8, and 16. 16, I'm assuming this will be for streaming in 4K. You can adjust the volume level for your audio source and everything, which is really cool. All right, another thing is, if I go here to this icon and go to setup, as you can see, this is where you have all the good stuff here happening. You can zoom in for, the camera has 3 times optical zoom. I also have some digital zoom, so you can zoom in, zoom out. And as you can see, it's not looking bad really, even when you zoom in. All right. Again, I don't like it has a little bit of digital zoom, so when you zoom too much, it's gonna start using a digital zoom, and it could be noisy a little bit depending on your lighting conditions. So you have focus. Again, I'll leave the focus to autofocus because I don't think there's a way you can manually focus. So I would say just leave it to autofocus. There's a TOF. I don't know what this means, by the way. If we got your resolution here, you can go up to 4K, which is good. Bit rate, this is for your recording to SD card right here. This is for recording to SD card. So if I toggle this, as you can see, USB and HDMI outputs will be disabled while you start to record. So if I decide to record on SD card, HDMI is disabled and USB. So I'm not gonna do that. I didn't know that, but yeah, that's the thing you need to know. We have some AI denoise level and gesture recognition. a little bit of gesture like what Opus does. Not very much. I'll let you go in there and check it yourself. And then you have device live settings. Okay, again, this is for RTMP streaming, like going live to YouTube, which is the same as the other live button that I showed you guys. Now, another thing, you have your mount mode. If you want to mount this, say you mount it like standard, or some people mount it like upside down. So you can choose that, like ceiling mounting. You have NDI settings. This is where you can enable NDI. You have SRT settings. This is where you can enable SRT. And you have HDMI. You can choose if you want to send HDMI out in 4K, 720 or 1080, which is really, really cool. Found that the fact that you can output 4K, it's really amazing. We have image settings. This is for you to be able to adjust the camera. Again, I still believe this little tab here. I saw Aaron's video. If you guys watch Aaron Pereki, he mentioned, you know, these faders need a little bit of adjustment. I agree with him because, again, as you can see, I can adjust the contrast and everything, but I don't see any numbers. I don't know if I'm doing 50%, 20%, 5, 6, 10, whatever. I don't see any numbers. I think this is something that AVKANS should work on. Yeah, we got the brightness here. So you can work on the image. I found it to be actually very useful, and the image quality is not really bad. You can adjust the saturation here and the sharpness, maybe not too much. Again, saturation is getting too much here. So you can go ahead and tweak it. Just be careful, don't do too much. White balance, again, I always like to go ahead and choose what I call static color temperature and set a color temperature that's, you know, that matches my key light. So as you can see, mine is 5600 Kelvin. There you go. And I can decrease the saturation a little bit because it's becoming too purple-ish. All right. So it's not bad. All right. But I feel like the image settings, I think it could be improved. Like even right now, I try to match my color temperature and everything, but I still believe that the image is too purple, too orange. Maybe it's my saturation. Let me adjust the saturation. Right. So again, once you get it perfectly set up, I think it's just a good thing to just keep it there. Right. Now, exposure mode, you can choose if you want to use average exposure, region exposure, or central exposure. Average exposure is like, I think you pick certain area in the image. Central exposure, I think that's like the general exposure is trying to auto exposure and expose the whole image. Regional, I think you would have to pick, like, let's say you want to expose for your face. Make sure your face is always well lit. So let's say regional region, and then I can pick my face. Again, you can see like right now it's really bad. So in my opinion, I would just go with central. Central seems to work well because it just keeps the entire image kind of balanced. Everything else, just leave it the way it is. This is like my basic settings really. Again, the image quality is good, but it's not wow, in my opinion. All right. So once you're done, we can get out of it, and then you can go full screen to be able to see what it looks like. Now, the next thing we're gonna do, guys, now the image is kind of good. What I can do is we can go ahead and actually add it to OBS. So what we need to do, let's go to OBS right now. Basically, let's go here under USB cam, and then I'm gonna delete this scene right here, and I'm gonna hit the plus sign. I'll have it connected using USB, and then we can go to video capture device, and let's call it AVKANS Go. And then hit OK, and then we're gonna look for it. Let's try USB video. It's not, this is a different capture card. All right, it's gonna show up as 4K USB camera video, so it's not branded as AVKANS, and this is what it looks like. All right, so device default for resolution type, we're gonna change it to 1080. We don't need to get 4K, but as you can see, I'm getting 4K coming in. I'm getting 4K 30 frames per second. That's the highest, but we're gonna turn it to 1080. We don't need 4K right now. And then everything else, you can leave it the way it is. FPS, we can put it at 30 frames per second and hit OK. So right now, I don't know what just happened. As you can see, the image just changed completely. So I believe it has to do with the white balance. So we're gonna go back to the camera settings, image settings. So yeah, so I kind of got it to look really good, and you know, as you can see, the image is not bad really. I would want to see the blacks being a little darker, you know, kind of having a way to adjust the contrast, because again, my t-shirt is kind of black, but you can see on the image looks kind of like, you know, gray. It's more gray than being black, even my hair and everything. So I think that if we can have like a little slider to adjust the darkness, I guess the blacks, yeah. So if I go to, hold on a second, image settings. Okay, so let's try the contrast and see what we get. All right, so now the contrast is on the maximum, and it actually looks almost good. All right, so it's not bad. You know, with the contrast on the maximum, I think the image looks really good. Okay, I can maybe reduce the saturation a little bit, just a tiny bit, but again, as you can see, it's not easy to reduce stuff with this application. So this, to me, I wish again we had numbers. You can just dial in some numbers. Yeah, so this to me kind of looks good. All right, now another thing you guys noticed, when I tried to record, I was using a different USB cable and it was laggy. So make sure you use the actual cable that comes with the camera, because that's USB 3.0. So the camera, because I think it's because it's sending a lot of data, because it's sending for a 4K signal to the computer. So it kind of needs a cable that's powerful enough. So it's USB 3.0. It's gonna be a little blue. So make sure you use that original cable. If you use a different cable, that's where my camera was lagging and I was starting to blame AVKANS, and it's not their fault. So again, kudos, the image looks good, but I think the application really needs a lot of work to be able to tweak the image, get it to look even better. The white balance, it just feels like some things are not consistent. There's some consistency missing in the application to be able to get this camera really kind of looking good and sharp and get the best out of, you know, the camera. Now, is this camera something that I would recommend either for studio or outdoors streaming? I haven't tested it outdoors, but you can go ahead and watch some reviews, some people using it for outdoors and stuff. I think this camera should do well outdoors. I'm not concerned. The only thing that doesn't have, so if you do some sort of like, you know, aero streaming and at some point you need some sort of stabilization, a GoPro is probably gonna be better, because, you know, something like a GoPro DJI action cameras would be probably better than this one, because they have some sort of stabilization. But if you're doing an event where the camera is gonna be on a stand or a tripod, this would be a very good camera for sure. The fact that you can control it on your phone, and you got auto white balance, you got auto exposure and things like that, that will help you. I don't know if it has HDR, because I saw something that says a WDR, so I'm assuming it's like some sort of HDR version, maybe wide dynamic range. That's what I'm assuming. I'm assuming that. So if you enable that, as you can see, it looks like HDR. So basically HDR is really helpful when you're doing outdoors, because it's going to allow you to be able to balance this. Sometimes the sky is too bright and you are maybe filming in a place that's kind of too dark, and not too dark, but a little darker. So what's gonna do is like the camera is going to try to expose both for the sky and the darker area, and it's gonna give you like a balanced image. If you don't have HDR, when HDR is not turned on, that's where you see like the sky is kind of super white and blown up, and you have like, you know, maybe your image kind of looking normal and everything, like yourself, and some other darker areas looking a little darker, and it just creates a weird image. It does not look good at all. So HDR does help a lot in those scenarios where lighting conditions are kind of different. Trust me, HDR is gonna make a huge difference. So things like GoPros, your phones, they do a really good job with like exposing outdoors scenes. But in the studio, you guys can see here in OBS what it looks like with WDR enabled. Again, I'm gonna reduce it because I don't think I need it here in the studio. but this could be probably something that would be useful outdoors. But other than that, you can see here in OBS what the image looks like, and I think it looks really good. Now, when it comes to the pricing, the time I record this video is actually priced at $350 US, all right, which is, I would say it's actually really good. And now looking at what AVKANS is doing, I'm actually thinking, looking at the form factor and everything, I think they were trying to copy or create a version of the Logitech Mevo Start. So now Logitech Mevo Start is actually at $450, and it does not offer some of the things that it doesn't have 4K, it's only 1080, and I don't know if it has SRT and things like that. So I am thinking they were trying to offer a cheaper solution to this camera, and because looking at the app, the fact that you can stream to, you know, have multiple cameras and be able to switch, that's what the Logitech Mevo Start actually kit does. But again, if you ask me which one I would recommend, I think the Logitech Mevo Start has, you know, it was the original, kind of like the ones that brought that idea. I think that's the first time I actually learned about this technology, kind of, you know, being able to switch cameras on mobile and everything and be able to stream and everything. So I think the Mevo Start is still the best in my opinion, even though it's a little expensive and has less features. I think in terms of stability, looking at, you know, look at on Amazon, it has a lot of reviews. It has like 4.4 kind of stars, and you have like 1.K plus people bought this last month. So this is a product that's been tested and it's been used multiple times and with many people and has been proven to work. Yes, it have less features and it's more expensive. I would think it's still the best in my opinion, if you ask me. But if you're willing to kind of do some testing, again, depending on the features that you're looking for, because the Mevo Start doesn't have HDMI, it doesn't do 4K, so you have so many things to gain from the AVKANS Go. Of course, it's not perfect yet, but you know, with a little bit of work and patience, you can get it to look good and work. I think it's worth trying. All right. Another thing that I would love to address to AVKANS, I'll probably send them an email. Again, this is probably because of my unit. My HDMI port does not work, so I tried to plug it to my ATEM Mini and my other switchers. I tried different cables. It did not work. It just gives me a weird looking image that I don't want to show you here, guys. So I believe this is just my unit. Sometimes it happens. If it happens to you, I'm sure AVKANS is gonna be able to replace that for you. So again, AVKANS maybe send me a better unit, because the one I have, HDMI, does not work. Full disclosure, this was sent to me for the purpose of this review, but they don't get to see this video before I upload it, and this is 100% my opinion, so you can see that I'm trashing them anyway, right? So yeah, they did a great job. I've reviewed some of their cameras in the past, and I believe it's a great company that tries to really give the best they can on budget, and I think they did a great job on this camera as well. I would recommend it 100%. However, you need to know that it's not perfect. That's why I say it's near perfect. Let me know if you're using it down below in the comments, or if you want me to explore some other stuff about this camera, things like NDI, how to set it up for streaming to OBS or streaming directly to YouTube and Facebook, or things like SRT. Let me know if you're interested in any of the features that we talked about, so I can create a different video. Let me know down below, guys. I'll be more than happy to do that. But other than that, thanks for watching, and I'm gonna link a very good video that you will love here, so make sure you watch it, and I'll see you there, guys. Take care.